Okay, we are live.
Sorry, am I hosting this?
Yes, you're hosting, Henry.
Got it. Okay. Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight to this joint meeting. I think we can turn it over right away to our guests.
Yes, which is the Civic Engagement Commission is here this evening. Anthony Carrion will give a presentation regarding civics and our upcoming elections.
Yeah, yes. Hi, everybody. I'll just introduce myself, then I'll pass it to Evie. My name is Anthony Carrion. I'm a community engagement specialist who actually covers the Bronx and Manhattan, but also we cover specific language communities, and that being Russian and Yiddish. We'll go into that maybe in the Q&A afterwards, but suffice it to say, my name is Anthony from the Civic Engagement Commission. We have a brief slide deck just introducing our agency, but for now I'll just pass it over to Evie.
Hello, greetings everyone. My name is Evie Bien-Aimé, and I am also a community engagement specialist working with the CEC. I operate in Brooklyn, and my languages are Haitian Creole, Bengali, and Urdu. And I'll pass it back to Anthony.
Great. I'm on mute again. So this is a very brief presentation. Shouldn't take more than 8 to 10 minutes. Just covering just a basic overview. And the purpose really is just to introduce ourselves to you all and explain maybe our purpose in establishing this relationship, which we hope will be ongoing from here, you know, to who knows when, but to have it be not just a one-off. So I'm going to share my screen right now. And let me go to Teams. Go. And before I begin, let me just say also that I used to be a community board member for 6 years. So I do very much appreciate your time and your commitment to your respective community board. So like I said, Evie and I are from the Civic Engagement Commission. Some of you may have heard of us, some of you may not have. But what is it exactly that we do? Who are we? So just to introduce ourselves, there you see Evie right there on the right. You see myself on the left there, Jamani Williams. This is at I think it was the National Voter Registration Day event that we had. So we were established back in 2018 through a ballot initiative. I know that when I was on community board, this was really talked about. We were really excited about this, and we succeeded. They through a ballot initiative back in 2018, they revised the city charter, establishing the Civic Engagement Commission. So we're really unique. We're the first democratically elected commission, and we have a couple of major responsibilities. So restoring civic trust, strengthening democracy, and we do this by promoting civic participation for all New Yorkers. So that includes a couple of key program lanes for us. So that would include these top 4. Democracy NYC, which I'll explain in a little while. Our Pole-Site Language Assistance Program. Third, and perhaps our most major program, is the People's Money, which is our participatory budgeting process. And lastly, community partnerships and education. So to begin, I'll just go over some data just to ask you all some questions. How how many registered voters do you think we have in New York City? If you want to write in the chat, or if you just want to mute yourself, out of a population of almost 9 million, how many of those 9 million people do you think are registered to vote?
5 million,
Okay, 5 million.
5 million.
Does anybody else want to take another guess? See something in the chat, 2 million. Okay. Some are more optimistic than others. It's actually, whoops. It's actually around 5.2 million New York City residents are registered to vote, which is a sizable amount. My next question would be to you all, how many of those voted in the last November election for governor, among other things, the last November election? So you could give like a percentage if you think it's 80% or 2%. Again, you can put in the chat, or if you want, just unmute yourself. See someone else from the chat.
23% in the chat.
23%. Okay, it's true. So it's actually around 35%. So about 1.8 million of that 5.2 million voted in the last general election. So that's actually pretty low, as you can see. So that's why, among other things, we have Democracy NYC, which, in addition to being like an advocacy arm of our organization, it's also our kind of get out the vote initiative program. So we do this through, as you can see there's a picture of me tabling at a local school event in the Bronx. So voter registration initiatives, public education, and some policy reforms, which we'll be detailing shortly through our Chief Democracy Officer. And of course, some of those voter resources that we provide people: finding your poll site, voting by mail, registration, checking your status, your rights as a voter, which Evie will talk about shortly. And now I'm going to pass it on to Evie to talk about poll site language.
Okay, so we're going to give you another quiz. I want you to guess the number of languages that are spoken in the 5 boroughs across the city. If anybody could, you could put it in the chat, or you could just unmute yourself and let me know, what are your thoughts? How many languages?
35.
35.
Isn't it something outrageous just in Queens, like 300 and something?
Yeah. There are over 700 plus languages spoken across the 5 boroughs in New York City. New York City, and just fun fact, New York City is the most linguistically diverse city in the world, and probably in world history. Now how many of all of these languages, and thinking, you understand, we know that there's about approximately 8 million New Yorkers. So how many of those do you think speak another languages in their home? Put it in the chat. You could shout it out.
Well, I know in Brooklyn, about 50% of Brooklynites speak a language other than English at home. I don't know what it is citywide, but that's what it is in Brooklyn.
You are correct. Almost, there's over 8 million people in New York City, and almost half of them speak a language other than English at home, which is one of the reasons why we have a program, the Poll Site Language Assistance Program. Because in New York City, we have the right to vote in our language. We have the right to bring an interpreter into the voting booth along with us. And the CEC also makes voting more accessible for New Yorkers with limited English proficiency by actually expanding access to interpretive services in poll sites across the city. We offer, other than the languages that are offered by the Board of Elections, we offer 11 languages: Arabic, Bengali, Chinese, French, Haitian Creole, Italian, Korean, Polish, Russian, Urdu, and Yiddish. Now, these are the communities, these are the language communities that are represented by our office. Yes, the Board of Elections does provide languages, but we supplement, we don't substitute, we definitely supplement. And if you want to find out the poll site languages offering by CC Interpretation Services, or you want to locate a poll site, you just have to key in participate.nyc.gov. We actually have an election center on our website.
I'm a poll site coordinator, and I really, really appreciate that you do this.
Yeah, it is something, as I see more and more folks, and as a person of Haitian descent, I'm so happy that it's offered in my community, because I live in the East Flatbush area, one of the largest population of Haitian Creole speakers, and I'm also a poll site worker. And often I feel so helpless, because at the time I've been a poll site worker for a number of years, and we couldn't help. We couldn't offer help. We were prevented from helping. So it's great to have this type of service in the community. And I learned from other communities across the city, especially, languages like Russian languages, which is the largest community, that is used poll site services. It's wonderful to have this service. So I'm going to, pass it on to Anthony to talk about the people's money. Thank you.
Thank you, Evie. For the third program lane, apart from poll site language assistance program, we also have the People's Money, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, but just in case, just to reiterate, this is the Civic Engagement Commission's participatory budgeting process. You may have seen graphics like this, maybe at your local library or at a community center. We did have idea generation sessions that we had back in September through November. It's distinct from the city council process. I'll get into that briefly. But ours is a citywide process, and it allocates $5 million of the mayor's expense funds. So this is collecting community ideas for expense items. So this would be services. There you see Evie at one of our idea generation sessions. I think this is Lincoln Center. Spending a part of a public budget, and this would be things like services, programs, community events, things like that. And of course, just like the city council process, it's also open to all New Yorkers 11 and older who can participate in this process and vote. And also does not matter your incarceration status or immigration status as well. The thing I will say is that the city council process is different. So that's not citywide. City council members have to elect to take a portion of their discretionary funding, whether it be $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, depending on the council member, and actually participate in PB, participatory budgeting. And only the members within that district can vote on projects that are on the ballot. But ours is a citywide process. And the other major difference is that city council is for capital projects. So brick and mortar construction, renovation projects. So that's just a very brief overview. We do have a much larger presentation that goes more into depth about the breakdown of the money, how it's allocated, et cetera. As I mentioned, this is just an introductory presentation. And of course, if you want to find out more about the People's Money, you can also create an account. We will be having elections in May and June. Once with the final ballot with all the community projects is finalized, which is also why we are here today. And I will explain that a little bit more. We want to establish a partnership, a relationship with you all in the lead up to May and June and going forward, but particularly May and June, because we do have 2 elections happening, as you know, for city council in June. For ranked choice voting process will be implemented. And then in May and June for the People's Money and a city council process as well, we'll be voting on these participatory budgeting projects. So we want to do public sessions, announcements, and also if time allows, workshops and presentations that go more into depth about these program lanes. And lastly, I'll just turn it over to my colleague Evie to discuss partnerships in education.
Right. So with community partnerships in education, the CEC conducts programming and partnerships with other city agencies and local organizations to increase awareness about access to city services. And we also provide education through workshops such as the Civic 101, Voting 101, and we also have other types, about the people's money specifically. And I want to let you know also that we have a new coalition for community-based organizations, very new, one of a kind, and it's called the People's Coalition, and it's part of the outreach team. I hope that you could join us with that, because the information that we provide sometime, like I've heard from a lot of community-based organizations, that a lot of the funding go to maybe 5 community-based organizations across the city. And a lot of the smaller community-based organizations don't always get the opportunity. And as civic engagement is right now small enough that we have formed a lot of truly organic relationships across city agencies, that we sometimes get to know about maybe funding opportunities a little earlier, and we could actually provide that information to those who attend our People's Power Coalition. So I hope that, if you could spread the word about the People's Power Coalition and invite some of the smaller community-based organizations that are in your neighborhood that you may know of, so that we could all have a more closer relationship to the ground, because sometimes folks kind of get lost in the sauce, and we want to maintain that, a closer relationship with people who are working directly with the public. We are so small at this point and so new, that you definitely will find that you have a voice with us. So new, in fact, that whenever I see that dollar bill, I know that Anthony is the one. That was actually Anthony who created that whole image of the dollar. And and it happened so quickly because the minute we started, we started in August. I started August 1st. 8 days later, Anthony came, and we just hit the ground running, and starting the participatory budgeting process, getting into the community. So I would say, please, definitely, as district leaders, we need you. We need to stay close to you. So we need to be in partnership with you. And, as part of this whole family, I consider New York, a family, because I feel closer to it being a part of the Civic Engagement Commission, because I've been here for over 40 years in East Flatbush. I've seen so many changes. So I just, would love to partner with our community-based organization, our district representatives, so that we can always, have our fingers on the pulse of what's happening with our communities. Thank you. Thank you. I'll pass it back to Anthony so he could provide you with more information. But thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, and I want to echo what Evie said. Yes, thank you for inviting us. This is our contact information, Evie and myself. I'll also put it in the chat after this. But just to reiterate the asks here, we're looking more towards right now May and June, and we really want to promote the 2 elections that are happening, one for participatory budgeting, the people's money, but also the city council elections. In addition to community boards, we've been reaching out to school district offices, and we've been organizing, or we're in the process of organizing, in March, kind of like a who we are. This is the Civic Engagement Commission. April will be a kind of participatory budgeting workshop. And then May, we're doing kind of a ranked choice voting workshop. So all in the lead up to the elections, to get you utilize the networks that are inbuilt in the communities that you guys have, that the schools have, to get the word out as much as possible so people know that this is going on and we can get the information there. And that would be, of course, in addition to the post-site language interpretation services, so people know, as EB mentioned earlier, that you can vote in your language, you have the right to. And so, yeah, those are our asks. This is who we are. This is just a very brief introduction. And we'd be happy to come back at a later date. I know community boards work differently. So if committee level or executive level is where these presentations are best suited, or at the board level, we're looking forward to having those conversations here or maybe at a later date. But I'll pass it over to you guys for Q&A if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you. That was very informative. Do we have questions from members of either committee?
Jane Marie has a question. Our chair, Jane Marie Kapitsinakis.
Hi, thank you so much. You mentioned about partnering with schools, and so, New York City schools celebrate Civics Week, March 6th through 10th.
Yes.
And, if there is a presentation that you're interested in, or in meeting with our local superintendent's office from here in District 20, perhaps we can arrange even some kind of a Zoom presentation that multiple schools can find out about or share information about.
I'm glad you brought that up. It wasn't part of the presentation. It's just very brief. We have a call, actually, Evie and I and our whole team tomorrow about Civics Week with the Public Engagement Unit. They're the ones that are running point for that. So we might be giving you a call tomorrow. We're going to be doing phone calls tomorrow to start organizing that. But yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, because Civics for District 20, where our community board is located, is a Civics for All district. So all of our elementary schools and all of our middle schools are participating in the Civics for All curriculum, which includes the Project Soapbox. And so there's a lot of interest in all of the different schools here about it. So if there's something that you can share, or something that you can, even sharing a PowerPoint with the point person of the civics team for each school, something like that, whatever it can be, at least they can help you to facilitate a meeting. Okay.
Wonderful. Yes. I will reach out to.
Also, we actually, Anthony and I actually went to several of the districts, the school districts. We went to District 20 and 21. And our plan was we've met with the family support coordinators, and they've invited us to meet with the parent coordinators, and they've provided us with information to contact the community education councils and the Title I president's councils as well. So we hope to partner with schools through these parent leadership programs that are available, so that we could have access to all of the schools in the district. And we're also willing to partner with schools specifically if they'd like us to come. And although we're a small team, but we definitely see a way through community education councils to reach all of the schools in the districts.
Okay.
Yes.
Terry Brennan has a question.
I just wanted to emphasize how important the interpretation is at elections. We have Spanish and Chinese if we're lucky, if they can get staff. We have a very large Arab population in this neighborhood, and Arabic is not on the ballot, and the Board of Elections provides no Arabic translators. I've sometimes had to co-opt a voter by literally yelling out, "Can anybody here translate Arabic or French or whatever it is?" So I don't know if this would fall under your purview, but I'm wondering if you can creatively address the dire need for people to actually work elections as part of your civic engagement, because teenagers can work, high school, 17-year-olds, I believe, can work. We are generally have plenty of people for early voting and are desperate on election days. I'm supposed to have 25 people at my site. Sometimes I have 10 workers. So, and I really wonder how much that impacts. We do our best to still have a quality election. But I hear really horrible stories from around the city. I feel confident about what we're doing. I don't feel confident about what's happening elsewhere. And I don't know that there's a way for you to sort of work this into your purview, not working for the Board of Elections, but encouraging people to work for them.
Yeah, absolutely. We are starting, I think it's going to be enrolled. Our colleague Dan and our outreach director Barbara are enrolling a volunteer program. So we got a grant from NYC Service, and that's part of the mandate as well. The volunteer roles will be for different things like tabling and canvassing, but we can prioritize those with skills like those who can speak Arabic or who have other language skills that could be needed. So that is a part of what we do, and we could help in that situation.
I just mean regular poll workers that are paid positions that we cannot get people. Evie, I don't know if you find that at your site or what you hear, but I hear horrendous stories from around the city of
I've seen it. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. Folks coming in and the Board of Elections not equipped to provide that type of service. So, like I said, for years, I would stand there, even with folks who came in with Haitian Creole, people who know me from the neighborhood. They would be walking towards me with their ballot, and I would be, I'm so sorry, I can't help you. It hurt. So I know that the little bit that we're doing right now is growing, and I believe that we will have a bigger impact this year. Like, we're so new, and like I said, me and Anthony, we've only been there for about a few months. I just celebrated 6 months. So I would say that, and we've been talking up because we've been, participating with language access. We've been helping to find folks within the community who can volunteer as part of the LAC program, which is the Language Access Advisory. We have folks who speak the languages in the community who can actually help raise more awareness of the need that is in the community, because it's all done by survey. And I believe that if more people come forward and say, this is what we need to have, more funding will be allocated towards it. So which is why, I feel that the more we get out to the districts and speak to folks like, community boards, and meet more folks who are running poll sites, who can come and speak to, because we have like a group of commissioners that are actually advising on this and taking back information. And that also can impact the funding for these programs. I think that this year we're going to make a dent, and if we continue the work that we can do together, more will be done. But I just think, if we could stay close to you and stay close to, we could definitely take a message back and let them know what we've heard. So I appreciate, you and the work that you do. So, and we just need to stay close.
It's a good reminder too, because we can incorporate this in our presentations, like our voting 101, and it's just a lot of information there. But at the end, we can also, like you said, promote these paid positions that people can apply for, and also gather signatures at our tabling and events that we do go to. So yeah, I've jotted it down, and we can add that to our sign up sheets also. So thank you, Terry.
Great. Are there any other questions?
I don't see any. I have a question for the team, just really relating to next steps and how, as district manager, how we can be helpful. We certainly, Community Board 10, in our district, we have really seen on the ground, as, Terry, mentioned it, the true need for language access. A portion of our district is in the EJ community, and we certainly want to make sure that as many people as possible are made aware, and we can promote the CEC's, Civic Engagement Commission's events and outreach initiatives, certainly within our newsletter, our community board, perhaps future meetings, and any suggestions you may have for us to help you in that effort. Just please let us know too. The door, I just want to let you know the door is two-sided, and we appreciate the outreach today, and we're certainly willing to partner with you, and share any information you want us, events that you're having or ways that we can help you to promote the programs that you're offering. We're certainly willing to do that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Josephine. We really appreciate that, and looking forward to working with you. And we're definitely going to follow up and invite you to our People's Power Coalition. And just moving forward, if you ever need us to come back and just give some updates and news, just let us know.
We'll do. We have another question, Justin Hyatt.
I guess this isn't like Bay Ridge specific, but I work for an organization that works with young people, like 14 to 24. How would I go about reaching out to you guys? Like, do I just reach out to the CEC and ask if they can come in and like do a presentation, or is there like some sort of form that I would have to go through, or how would I get in contact with you to actually come in and do it like a Civics 101 class?
So in this scenario, you could contact us directly, either Evie or myself. Our info is in the chat. And then we'd send to you a kind of event request form. You could just fill out with just the details, time, date, whether it's virtual, in person. So yeah, that's how we can go about it in this situation. You could just reach out to us directly.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so for next steps, so Josephine, I think we'll just circle back. We do want to be kind of not a nuisance, but a permanent presence, at least, in public session, giving updates regularly. And then we can schedule something in the lead up to May and June. Like I mentioned, some workshops like on ranked choice voting or on participatory budgeting, the difference between city council and Civic Engagement Commission to start off with. And in our public sessions, we'll promote, Civics Week and maybe some bit of civics news. Like today was the Tin Cup Day in Albany, for instance. So
right, and community boards also do distribute and have available at the district offices voter registration forms. We've put up banners in multiple languages. We've asked the Board of Elections to provide us with voter registration forms in multiple languages. And last voter cycle, I think we distributed over 100. In the presidential year, I think we distributed more than that. We've gone through a whole case of voter registration forms here in the office, whether it's at the district office because we're on a storefront location. I've actually visited some local community-based organizations. One of the board members, Carmen Feliciano, invited me to her ESL class, and we had Chinese voter registration forms distributed. So, we look forward to, I'm actually out of voter registration forms and thought this week as we were preparing for this meeting, I need to reach out and get some more here in the office because lots of our seniors still like the paper, version to sit and fill out and do that. So we really want to continue to do our part here.
Fantastic. Oh, and lastly, if there are any major events that the community board does as well, again, we'd be happy, like with Justin, to participate as well.
Great.
Yeah, so we'll be in communication then.
Okay, thank you. Henry, I do not see any additional questions.
I just wanted to say lastly, Josephine, I'm going to send you something regarding a search for our participants, the People's Monies artists. We are looking for artists, and there's, opportunity with our office we're looking for one in each borough. So I'm going to send you all of the details regarding that opportunity tomorrow.
Great. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we need a motion to adjourn or can we just adjourn?
Oh, we need a motion. I see lots of hands.
All right.
So I think the motion passes.
Okay, thank you guys.
Great.
Thank
Thanks.
you all.
Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you all. Have a good night.
Care, everybody.
night.